everyone. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Mahmud. We have today Brian Wiles as our guest. He is the CEO and founder of Autozy. I'm gonna have Brian introduce himself a little bit more in depth and talk about his company. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Can you talk a little bit about yourself for our audience, who you are, what's your background, and how did you end up here?
Yeah, great questions. I'm Brian Wiles. I'm the founder and CEO of Autozy. I help founders, marketers, podcasters be able to produce more quickly. So, one of the things that really happen when you're a creative and a founder is that you're spending a lot of time doing editing or miscellaneous things to help either put out content. And what my platform is going to do, I'm in beta starting next week, so going to do, um, is cut down a lot of those steps that you would manually have to do. So I started similar to you, where my background is in project and program management. I worked for SaaS organizations for quite some time. And then I was working for some marketing agencies. During COVID, lost my position, and I was like, well, what do I want to do next? And that led me to think, oh, the marketing thing, I could totally do that. So what I had started doing is reaching out to other agency owners and asking them what their story was, what they did right, what they did wrong. And really, I just didn't want to fall into the same pitfalls that they did. And then I realized that I was having a bigger story being told by asking these questions. So that started me podcasting. I've done about 100 episodes myself. I've interviewed multiple Forbes 30 under 30 recipients, a couple of Fortune 500 organization employees, usually C-suite or VPs or higher. And I was like, man, this process it's so much fun to have the conversation, but I lose a lot of momentum going back and having to the edits, making sure there's so many touch points, right? To be able to edit the podcast and then get it onto YouTube or onto Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So what I've done in my organization is took all those lessons learned from being a podcast host and producer as well as editor, and I'm kind of a new entry into that marketplace, offering a platform where you can do all of it in one spot without losing a lot of momentum in what it is that you're trying to do, whether that could be create content for the day, whether that's just a TikTok or TikTok short or a reel or whatever. I want to kind of be that one-stop shop for organizations or and podcasters to have a platform that allows them to flexibility and freedom to focus on the hosting pieces and not the back end piece. Have that all done for you.
Gotcha. Cool. No, I'm glad that you mentioned because it seems like we're almost at the same journey because we started as a AI automation company where we automated a lot of workflows, build customized tool for small to mid-sized companies who doesn't want to, who doesn't have a dedicated team to build their own LLMs and so on and so forth. But we didn't want to be like another startup or another, AI uh, arbitrage company. We wanted to learn more from the CEOs, the industry owners, industry leaders, like what challenges they are having to so that we can build our portfolio exactly the same way. It seems like we're following the same strategies and I'm glad to hear that it worked out for you, which also means we're in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's finding your place, right? There's a million different directions you can go, and looking at your background, you have a very substantial software background. So I think that you're set up for success there. It's just figuring out where you want to apply it and who you want to apply it with, and setting up something that's repeatable for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, like I found my passion in podcasting, although like I hate public speaking. I'm quite good at it, but I hate it.
There.
I'm super introverted. The only time I really like turn on is in my studio space and having conversations like this. And I was like, this is so much fun. I just wish my workflow was easier. And
Mm.
through that process over the last year or two, I was like, I'm going to go after the big guns and I'm going to create my own platform. So that's what I did. And I just finished the last bit of production code this morning, and I just need to hit send.
Oh, very exciting, very exciting. Um, so you did mention, or you kind of answered my next question. I was going to ask, like, how did you come up with this idea and what triggered? We already know that. So who are your client base? Number one question. And how do you reach out to them? And that's number two. Sort of a more like a marketing question, or just a bigger picture, like what's the mindset that I'm going to target this person or that person, or this is how, and more details like this is how we are targeting. And also, the third question is, um, why would someone pick you? Let's say I am in the market for that. Why am I picking you? What do you do better than your competitions?
Yeah, let's try to go through this one by one if we can. So the people that I'm targeting and trying to target ideally is someone like you, someone who is already producing content as a founder, realizes that there are so many workflow steps that you have to go through in order for you to finalize your product to even get it out there, right? Because content and being a thought leader in this day and age as a founder, I think go hand in hand. You have to be both or do both. And if you're not, you're leaving a part of your brand is missing,
Hmm.
or a part of the experience is missing. So what I what I'm targeting are people like you who have podcasts already, who may or may not be doing it themselves. So I'm looking for people who have a podcast and then be like, hey, what are the tools stack that you use? What are the and then I just ask them like, what's your big hang up when you're going through your editing workflow? What's the hardest parts? Is it just sitting down at the computer and doing it? Is it figuring out the engaging clips that you can put on to other platforms to kind of cross pollinate the episode? Is it, sitting down and writing the description of the episode? Is it creating the thumbnails? And what I've tried to do is think through all of those pieces and lean into tools that are ready made or available, typically through, you know, publicly available LLMs, and have that help with the workflow. So AI in my mind is still in a stage where it requires human input and human output, at least review,
Hmm.
right? So what I've done is I have taken the workflow that I've worked on over the last couple of years and trained my platform to be able to replicate my style, but also look at other people's styles and help replicate those. So you can stay in your own tone or voice or whatever. Or if, like, say you're a huge Alex Hermosi fan and he puts out a ton of content. If you
Hmm.
wanted to more replicate that, one of the things, the feature enhancements that I'm working on now is being able to say, hey, this is the style that I want to replicate. Click a button and it will do a lot of the edits for you to emulate that style of podcast or interview or talking head or whatever you're looking to produce on your end.
Interesting, interesting. Cool. So how do you reach out to people? Do you email? Do you connect on LinkedIn?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways. I mean, having done this for a couple of years now, I have a handful of friends that do it, and they have a network of people that they know who do it. So The my initial beta users, I'm starting out with 10 starting next week. They'll have access to the platform. I'm going to use their feedback for the next cohort of beta users, which I will pick up around the beginning of December. And then from there, I'm hoping to public release around the beginning of the year. So I have a small network of individuals, as well as I'm hooked into a couple of mastermind programs that people are like, hey, yeah, I think this is a great idea. A lot of people are already using podcasting as a mechanism for communicating with potential clients. Like, but the problem isn't necessarily reaching them and having the conversation, it is getting the content out.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to pick up the back end pieces of that and make it easier for you to go from just having the interview, click a couple of buttons and have it published on your behalf without a lot of manual intervention.
Interesting. And it should be able to publish in multiple different medias, like, social medias, LinkedIn.
Correct.
Oh, cool. And you format it as, like, let's say, for example, in our video, we're formatting in 4 by 3 or whatever the horizontal piece is. But uh,
There's options for you to be able to crop based off the platform that you're looking to post in. So it could be one by one, it could be uh, 1960 by whatever it is to be like more of the phone screen profile. So all of that's programmed in, and based off of where you're looking to publish, it can crop automatically based off your destination.
got you. Very interesting. Yeah. Sometime I would like to see that. It sounds very cool. Some of the challenges that you faced over the time, or like, yeah, just overall to build the company from the beginning to here. Like, so what are some of the challenges that you faced?
Persistence.
Mm,
Persistence is key, right? Like staying on top of my workload, making sure that I'm accountable for what it is that I'm looking to accomplish, but I've also hired a team since then and making sure that they're staying on top of their work, but not trying to micromanage them and giving them the space and opportunity to make mistakes and ask questions and get feedback. Like that's one of the things that I'm going to gauge you on whether or not you're going to be successful in my organization is that I'm going to give you a really complicated task.
mhm,
It's not that I'm trying to set you up to fail, it's that I'm trying to set you up to get feedback from me on what I thought the direction should be versus how you would go about doing the same task. So it's more about figuring out that feedback loop with the individual. So I never want to see anybody like struggle on something because I'll set up touch points if there's times where someone I think should be progressing something more quickly and be like, hey, what's going on here? And give them an opportunity to provide me feedback. I'm never trying to be like, I got you with something that's too hard for you. It's always about, I want to stretch what you're able to do, have you continue to learn from engaging with me, but also challenging yourself and what is available out there in the marketplace. So that's why the one of the questions that you had for me previously is like why my platform, how am I doing it differently is that I've sat in both seats, right? I've sat in the seat of as a host and I've sat in the seat as a producer and editor, and I know what goes on behind the scenes. So my whole premise was to ease that part, make that easier for someone like yourself to be able to produce content more quickly.
got you. Cool. Um, how big is the company? Like, people wise, revenue wise, and
People
how old are
wise,
you guys?
so we're about almost 2 years now. I've been working on the company. Um, there's, I think there's 4 or 5 of us now. Um, and a lot of the revenue that we have taken on more recently is helping other organizations, usually startups, implement something that they find challenging technically.
Mhm,
And this will be the first time where like I've actually released my own product.
mhm,
So I it took a while, right, to really figure out. And I've iterated based off the knowledge that I've gained, all the experience that I've had through conversations with business owners like yourself, and then vice versa. Like, what is it that I really want to do? Where do I want to go in this organization? And that's kind of how I ended up where I am now.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's like, see, when you, it's always like, it's always a good idea to have that openness. Like when you start from somewhere and then you see the challenges coming in, it could go a little bit here and left or right. I don't want to use the word pivot. Pivot kind of sounds like you're completely changing direction. And also at the same time, it can also give you more credibility and more, confidence that, okay, now the problem that you're trying to solve is actually real and people are struggling. No, that's great to hear. So next
Yeah.
question. Yeah, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, like, as a younger entrepreneur, a lot of people, they're too quick to pivot. I think that there is definitely time to be like, okay, here's the critical roadblock that I'm facing. Do I persist down this path, or do I need to change direction? And you just need to be honest with yourself and any of the other stakeholders in your organization that, like, hey, this is happening. Like, I, I'm in charge of the organization. I can't see past this. Can you give me feedback on your perception of it, and just kind of be like, okay, we're pivoting, or no, it's just we're on the right path. I'm just thinking about it the wrong way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why also mentorship is very important in business. I learned the hard way. So you always like need to hear from someone else that, because especially if you come up with an idea, you're always going to be biased to that. You're going to be also fascinated and very passionate about it. So it's very difficult to hear the tone like, okay, you need to probably take a step back. No, this is great. So, what's your plan for next, let's say, 6 to 12 to 18 months? I don't want to go too far.
Yeah. So I think that we know that the next 3 months, right, is the focus right now is to get the beta, which is actually fully production ready, out into the marketplace with the initial small cohort, start getting feedback from them, as well as potential enhancements, and then build a community around that. So one of the things that I've talked to my beta users about is that my expectation of them is for them to provide me feedback in near real time, but also I want them to be involved with the next steps of the organization, like how we progress this platform. So I know some other small organizations have an opportunity where you can kind of go in and vote on feature enhancements, and I want to do similar. So it helps create community around it, as well as keep people in the loop on what you're working on.
Hmm. Yeah, so I feel like the first step is probably the most difficult one to get people come in, commit to it, and use it. If it's a good product, like people instantly fall in love with it, and also the service matters, right? So they can give you the feedback, and then they see that it's the features are actually been taken action against, and then been built. So people get drawn to that kind of attention. Um, cool, and yeah, so that's your goal. That's where you want to be in 12 to 18 months. How do you think you can get from A to B from now to 18 months? And what are some of the challenges that you may see on the road?
Yeah, good question. I think that just being open and transparent is one thing. The other thing that I'm going to start getting more involved with now that I have the beta that's ready is start building in public,
Hmm.
right? Like I've built in stealth to this point. I'm ready to build in public and let people know what I've been working on. Um, it's funny because, like, there's so many organizations out there that have done that successfully. I think Lovable is one of them,
Hmm.
where they've built in public and just kind of kept their users in the loop through X and whatever other social platforms of like, hey, this is what we worked on last week. Come and check it out. Like
Hmm.
it holds me as a CEO and founder accountable for the things that I'm planning on putting out,
Hmm.
but also, gives me a reality check of like, hey, you spent 2 weeks and you produced a bunch of garbage. Like nobody's using this. Like, okay, let's go back to a different way of soliciting feedback because maybe the cohorts are too small, or maybe there's just an approach that we need to adjust. Um, so that's kind of like the next big step for me is to start building in public and making people a little bit more aware of what it is that I've been working on for the last 6 months to get this out.
Hmm. Cool. And what are the challenges that what is you fear that might not allow you to reach the goal that you, if there is any?
I finding people who are smarter than me that will rally behind me and my vision,
Hmm.
right? Like I was solo for so long that it was easy to be self-motivated, but now that I've got a team, I've got to be responsible for them also and make sure that they've got a pipeline of work that they can take care of themselves. And then just making smart hires, making the smart next move, making sure that my time is being used, leveraged to figure out the next big thing, the next visionary thing in the organization versus working in the business every single day.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's very cool. So always building the next iterations while you're at it. Great. That's very cool. So we're almost towards the end. Let's a few more questions.
Sure.
I'm assuming, and you actually verified that a little bit. So you are using some AI tools. Uh, so what is your experience in the last 3, 4, 5, after 22, basically? What is your experience with this AI revolution? How do you think it impacted your business, positive or negative, and why?
Yeah, I mean, AI is a fantastic tool, right? You just need to know how to use it and prompt it. So, when I first got involved using ChatGPT, like a lot of people, is just figuring out how do I construct a prompt to be able to elicit the feedback that I'm looking for and then build from there.
Mm.
And then that led me into, being able to build out, like I've got an entire AI board of advisors that I've built out based off of what I'm building right now. So it can help me like, hey, here's some other problem areas that you should address. Hey, like this is a low engagement area. It helps me analyze my analytics much more quickly than I could do as a person or hire an analyst to be able to do it. But like I said, it's a tool and it's ever evolving. But there are some great features out there that like I've taken and I am leveraging for my platform.
Cool, cool. Yeah, no, absolutely. Are you guys in-house building anything, or you're leveraging the existing LLMs and then building on top of it?
So there are LLM features, one specifically that I'm thinking about. So ChatGPT has Whisper AI
Mhm.
that I'm using for transcription. I know that a lot of people have built on top of that same platform. I think Fireflies does it. I think Fathom does it for note taking. A
Yep.
lot of other platforms that have transcription are using that. So that is like one of the key areas within the platform where I'm leveraging an outside resource to help enhance and bolster what I've built. Um, but really like that is the only one. Everything else is built in house. And then we're continually using AI to learn from the feedback that we're getting, but also learn from additional things like pause words and creating a library of people saying or or like or any of that. So we're using real-time user feedback, user experiences to help create something that's a little bit bigger without having to have a person sit there and be like, oh, here's a really common pause word. Here's another one. So what we've done is just set up a library that looks through the transcripts, scrapes the common pause words, and now allows those to be automatically removed from either an individual's library or a global library.
Gotcha. And since you're using some sort of AI behind it, it should be able to learn over time and then increase the library as well. Cool. Very, very interesting. So we are almost at time. I'm gonna ask you one last question. I usually ask pretty much all my guests, sort of try to learn from them, try to, pick their brain a little bit. So,
Mhm.
what is your suggestion for, or advice, let's say, for a young company like ours, to go to market to get our name out there and then help other businesses, uh, you know,
Start from a place of knowledge or a place of passion, right? Like, not every day is going to be great. There's going to be days where going through this alone is a slog and you don't necessarily want to do it. But if you have the knowledge base, it makes it a little bit more easier to overcome that. And really, it's just taking the steps to getting started. Like it took me forever to be like, okay, I finally want to do this. And when I
Mhm.
lost my position in my marketing firm, I was like, okay, this was a sign, right? This is my sign to be able to go out and do my own thing. Now I have permission to do it. So yeah, just get
Permission from
started.
who? You are the boss now.
Exactly. I'm the
Absolutely.
boss now, but you know, I needed a sign outside of myself saying,
Absolutely.
"Hey, I think I'm ready for this."
Right.
And I had put in the work and worked in a bunch of different positions and organizations that I think or hope prepared me for where I am now.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, so we're at time now. Thank you so much, Brian. It has been a very great conversation. We've learned a lot, especially given the fact that, we are kind of we at some point we were the kind same path. So this has been eye-opening, and I hope our audience learn a lot from this conversation. If anybody's interested in your services, want to try out the product, where do they look for?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. Um, I don't have any special URL. I can provide it to you so you can send it in the notes,
Yeah.
or you can find me at autozy.co. It's AUTOZY.co.
Cool. Yeah, and I will also put that in the descriptions for people to check it out. So thank you so much, Brian, for your time, and thank you everyone for sticking around. And I will see you in the next one.
Thank you.